Good evening and welcome to Let's Play Total War Shogun 2 Rise of the Samurai. Currently Ietoyo, combined with the garrisons from Owari and Mino, have joined together to drive off the Kiso Minamoto army that's been plaguing our lands for far too long. Fortunately for us, we have demoralized the enemy force with Hisakane, our monk, and so they should be easier to drive off. But unfortunately for us, the army consists primarily of foot samurai. You can see there are hordes of the buggers down there. There's around 300 or so foot samurai and another 100 sword retainers. And this is bad for us because our primary force is levy. Now, while we do have a mounted Naginata unit, which should be quite useful, the problem is if you have a look at the terrain of this map, I am in a horrible, horrible position. The Kiso Minamoto occupy a fantastic hill, next to impossible to charge up. Bow shots are going to have be very weak with that height differential, while theirs are going to be quite strong. And so I definitely need a new plan. The other issue is that our armies are in two, so I have to wait for our reinforcement army to arrive here, which it has, and we'll move into position. Now, immediately I thought that perhaps we could approach from the gentle southern slopes down here, but I discarded that because the choke point up this hill is just too vicious. We need a way of being able to utilize our numbers to devastating effect, because if we get involved in a grinding match, we'll simply lose with the fact that we're fighting levy against elite units. Normally we're the other way around, and we've got the elite units and the opponents have the levy, and I'm quite good at dealing with that, but mass levy against foot samurai is a difficult proposition, especially considering they have firebomb throwers. Normally firebomb throwers are laughable, but in this situation a couple of firebombs could set off a chain route which could be devastating. So my plan at this point in time is to utilize the trees, and with that maneuver up where the enemy cannot see me, set up a good position on the trees here, and then advance up through this side. And you'll see that even though the angle's a bit steep to get up this hill, they'll have to come down off the hill to engage us, which is fine, because with the number of units we'll be able to have in the trees, if they do come down to engage this force that moves up here, we'll be able to envelop them and utilize our superior numbers, since we do outnumber them about 6 to 1. Now, as you can see, these men are hidden while they're in the trees. They have the little icon there, the kneeling samurai, which indicates that the opponents can't see them. General units are never hidden, regardless of their status, so that always one unit is at least visible at all times. I'm walking in the forest because if I run, that will reveal these units, and so really what I want is the computer to not have a clue what it is I'm doing. They really only see sporadic units pop out and then disappear again, and so they don't really have any idea where my force is. They know roughly in the general area. The computer isn't entirely stupid. It does know that my force all deployed to the north, and so it will act accordingly, but at the same time it doesn't know exactly where my men are. It can't shoot at units, it can't see, etc. And I'll utilize this to great effect. So really, right now, the men are just moving up, so we'll speed this up a little bit because there's not a whole lot to watch. Now, we can see that the computer is adjusting the angle of attack. It has worked out that my forces are approaching primarily from the north, and as such, it needs to deal with them. So it brings the troops up and around, basically leaving its weaker units at the south. Nevertheless, it's not a huge change to their angle of attack, so we'll speed this back up again, and while they maneuver into position. I'm not doing too much maneuvering right now because I want to see what they're doing. Now, the first thing I notice is they're bringing a lot of foot samurai down and around, assuming that the fight's going to take place in this area here, which is my primary approach. So I've modified my plan a little. Rather than going up and around, what I want to do is maneuver my bow levy, who are hidden and they have fire at will turned off, so they won't shoot at the opposition. What I want is an opening devastating salvo from the majority of my ranged units to obliterate those foot samurai before they have a chance to strike. In the last video I mentioned that fire arrows are armor piercing and as such are exceptionally powerful relative to the normal bow levy shots against armored units like foot samurai, and I want to be able to bring that extra firepower to the fore. So I want all my range units to be ready and set up and then just unleash a devastating salvo, because ideally that'll bring the computer down and I'll be forced and I'll be able to bring my units to envelop him, because he'll be attacking into the forest up a slight hill where I have the advantage. Now, nevertheless, those foot samurai have exceptionally powerful combat statistics, and they will absolutely rock the world at any levy they're fighting in melee. So I want to minimize the foot samurai that fight in melee as much as possible. So I want to give them as many skirmish options as I can, because the loss of the bow levy doesn't worry me too much. They're fairly easy to replace. I have to leave some units behind for garrison purposes anyway after this fight, so they'll have plenty of time to replenish. And every foot samurai unit that isn't in there killing my levy is one that is basically letting me get closer and closer to victory. So as you can see, I'm just moving these men up, and they're all hidden. So I'm just doing this very, very slowly, taking my time. This is on double speed. Normally it wouldn't be anywhere near this quick. You just want to be able to get in range. So as you can see, I'm bringing the units up into range here. They're not quite where I want them, but I don't want to get too close, because if they get spotted, that will give the game away. And they've got fire at will turned off, so they haven't opened fire yet. And you can just see that I'm bringing up the levy guys behind just as a countermeasure. So if I do get a full frontal charge coming down the center here like this, I can just withdraw the bow levy and send in the Nanganada levy, or alternatively, the Nanganada levy can rush forward. Now I'm bringing the men forward, and you will notice when I'm happy with the shot, because they will, a little bit further forward. Just as you can see, lots of guys have them in range now, and so we can expect a fairly devastating attack. And they've all come out, and as you can see, all the fire arrows happen. Now, unfortunately, they go for the Nanganada levy. Very pretty, not particularly effective. Didn't touch the foot samurai, but these Nanganada levy are not going to hang around under that sort of punishment for long. Now, I've been whistling arrowed, which doesn't bother me too much, because you can see, even though the foot samurai are putting a large number of arrows in, because the trees are screening me, I'm not actually taking that many casualties. So they're in the open, I'm in the trees. And this is one of the things that is often overlooked by players, is to use the terrain to their advantage. So these guys, I mean, these foot samurai, there's about 100 foot samurai there, and we've all seen how devastating my foot samurai can be. So we'd expect something similar. They've got pretty similar statistics with 72 accuracy, 62 reload. But they're not. And now they're starting to lose foot samurai as our bow levy are focusing on them. And you can just see that with just the sheer volume of bow fire, they're going down. There are a lot of arrows being shot at them. Now these guys are trading hits with the guys at the top, and that's going to be a losing proposition, but you can see there's a disproportionate number of their bows tied up here. And that's fine, because I just want these guys to take casualties and keep them out of the fight, while these guys shred them. I mean, as you can see, we've killed 11 foot samurai there already, 2 there, and they're shooting at the levy back here, so we're just pulling them back into the trees. You maximize the advantage the terrain gives us, and not be too threatening to the computer. We don't want a full-blown attack. Now, they've actually pulled their troops a long way out of position, which is interesting, but these guys are going to come down and engage further. We've shattered 1 unit of foot samurai already, and we're starting work on the second lot, and just because they're so clumped together so tightly, loose arrows will hit both units, which is nice because we're shooting across our field of fire. Now, these levy are just sacrificial. I want them to take the shots, because that means that my bow units are just cleaning up, and that's really the objective. As you can see, we just have so much bow fire going on. It doesn't matter that they're horribly inaccurate, because these aren't being led by Tomomoro, so they don't have the benefit of his +10 accuracy retainer, so they just shoot everywhere. They're literally half as effective as Tomomoro's bow levy, and so I need a lot of them, but nevertheless, I've got a lot of them. And the computer's happy to skirmish because it feels that it has a pretty solid ranged advantage, which is true in the sense that it does have the capacity to do a lot of pain, but it's shooting at the wrong units, and it's utilizing the wrong... So this entire left flank here, there's actually not too much left of that left flank, so we're bringing our units forward. We're just going to flood them with men. Now this is a bit of a problem. This sword attendant has come charging down the hill, because I don't actually... I've had to pull my bow levy back, so I don't really have anything to deal with them. The sword levy will chew through these Naginata levy at an incredible pace, but hopefully, since their general is down here and is now engaged with my levy, we should be able to cause a rout of some description. See, their morale's already dropping pretty low because they're just so outnumbered, flanks exposed, and so we're just utilizing our numbers advantage wherever possible. These guys are a bit of a problem, these firebomb throwers, so I need to chase them off wherever possible. And over here you can see that these levy are not really doing particularly well. I've had to bring Ietoyo around just to bolster them up, but fortunately that's reinforced their morale, and so they're much happier, although getting blown to pieces is not too good. Luckily for us on that side, the foot samurai panicked and shattered before my men, and so the firebomb throwers also shattered because they suddenly had no one to protect them. So it actually worked out to my favor, those particular firebomb throwers. And over here, we can just see that now they just don't have enough men to take care of it. We just bring the entire force round, and they just immediately shatter because they're just so heavily outnumbered. So by taking advantage of the terrain and using the ability of the computer... Thanks for watching, everybody!